Hey guys, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome aboard. Welcome home. Blah, blah, blah. You know the rest, right? As always, completely and totally dependent on where you happen to be in relation to this week, these energies, these messages, right? Take them as they resonate. So let's have a conversation about what's up this week. This week being the 8th of May through the 14th of May 2023. May of 2023 is a big month energetically. There are a lot of shifts, a lot of movements, which is always exciting, right? More so than usual. So we are coming off of Beltane, Scorpio, full moon, lunar eclipse. A lot. So let's just get into it. On Monday the 8th, we have a Sag moon to begin with. We have two quincunxes, one to Uranus, one to Mars, and a square to Neptune, a trine to Jupiter, and then the moon moves into Capricorn, and soon after opposes Venus in Cancer. Hello. So you might feel challenged, right? In that get shit done way. You feel like you want to stay insulated early on this Monday morning, and who can blame you, right? It is a Monday, it's post Beltane, new moon, lunar eclipse, blah, blah, blah. So give it time. Proceed with caution. Wow, hello, thank you. Anyway, don't be in a rush. Watch your step, right? On Monday, the 8th, early. Watch your step. Proceed with caution, right? By afternoon, the fog will feel a little bit lifty. You'll feel a little bit more embodied, more grounded. Perhaps even a new surge of fiery energy, right? Which is always a lovely thing. Consider that by evening, your executive function is going to kick in, right? It will upgrade the state of that home space, right? And usually when I talk about home, I'm talking about the overarching kind of sense of home, like what home looks like, feels like, smells like. Today, I kind of mean both, right? Not just your image, but also your actual home space. So if there's anything that you can do to upgrade your home space this evening, even if it's just grabbing a bag and getting your trash out early, or running around and finding a few things that you want to get out of your space and donate so that someone else can use them. Whatever that means to you, whatever it means to you to upgrade your home space, right? However that's going to feel most practical to you. Like I said, that executive function is going to kick in, and it's going to create that space of, yeah, I can do that. So give it an hour, give it even 5 minutes if that's all you have. But do something to upgrade your living space. On Tuesday the 9th, that Capricorn moon, sextile Saturn, trines retrograding Mercury in Taurus, and then the sun in Taurus conjuncts Uranus. Okay, so here's the deal. It is speak plainly, right? Speak very plainly, but also speak from your heart. The deeper your own personal alignment is today, the more authentic your response will be when you get that response back to what it is that you have to say. So in that interaction, but begin by speaking plainly. And also be ready for some identity shifts, right? And don't be too surprised if you find yourself doing a thing in ways that align to that new story, right? If you feel like perhaps you've actually upgraded your self identity, your self-image, your self-reflection in the world. And then when you catch yourself doing something that's new, in alignment with that new story, don't forget to give yourself a pat on the back, right? Give yourself props for creating function and application in your new alignment. That's a beautiful thing. On Wednesday the 10th, boy, we have a very busy Cap moon early, right? Early. So we have a square to Chiron. Overnight, right? This is overnight. A trine to Uranus, a trine to the Sun. And those are all overnight. And then we have an opposition to Mars and a sextile to Neptune and a square to Jupiter. So a very busy moon day. And then about 9 p.m. Central, the moon moves into Aquarius and almost immediately conjuncts Pluto, which is in retrograde, right? So pay attention to that dream time. Spend some time there, right? Because the messaging is going to be important to your self-definition, right? How you balance that, how you put it into motion is going to really determine whether or not you kind of catapult yourself into some kind of evolutionary growth and motion, or whether you just choose a little bit of stillness, a little bit of like wheels up kind of inaction that is actually stillness, right? Not stagnation. So you can choose, no matter what, to revel in the now, right? Both of those are actually action statements. So however you do that, make sure that you keep the net wide enough and take a few minutes to meditate on your own inner reserves, right? And how you're plugged in to source, and perhaps even whether you're plugged into source, and how you can facilitate that if the answer is, maybe I'm not, right? So just work on your own self-actualization and your own resourcedness. So on the Thursday, or on the 11th, which is Thursday, the Aquarius moon is going to quincunx Venus and square retrograding Mercury. So it's a day of quiet or disquiet, right? If you're going to speak, be very deliberate. Well, hello. You were the first guy I saw, so you're coming out. So much. On Thursday. So here's the deal. There's a way of communicating, and I use this sometimes with clients, right? Sometimes there are people that speak typewriter, right? And then there are people who speak curlicue, and it just depends on your font, right? Your expressive font. The deal is that as long as that is always reflexive to your own sense of home, you're always being authentic, right? But sometimes there are miscommunications, and it's just about how we're speaking, right? The mode of our speech. So here's the deal. On Thursday, the 11th, if your own mode of speaking isn't creating or fostering or challenging your sense of home, right, it might need to be left for another day. That doesn't mean you're not going to address a miscommunication. It just simply means that perhaps Thursday, the 11th of May, isn't the day to do that. If you'd like to continue your own personal alignment in the way it is. Now, here's the deal. If you're wishing somebody would, then go ahead and have that. Wow. Okay, we'll just take it. But be mindful of what it means to demand an alignment of expression, right? It's not always the most functional. It's not always the most relevant, right? And sometimes it's you, and be okay with that, right? So if it's not creating or fostering or challenging your sense of home, it might be left for a different day. On Friday, the 12th, that Aquarius moon is going to sextile Chiron. And then Mercury, of course, in retrograde in Taurus, is going to sextile Saturn. The moon will square Uranus and the sun, quincunx Mars. And then Mercury is going to sextile Venus. The moon will make a sextile to Jupiter, and then very late in the evening will move into Pisces. So it might be a case of wakey, wakey, triggery, triggery, right? So if the issue is feeling off within yourself, right, perhaps out of alignment with that new story, the invitation is to move into self-forgiveness, right? And know that those triggers and that call to forgiveness is how learning and growth occur, right? It can't always be sunshine and rainbows. If it is, there's no call for expansion, no call for resilience or flexibility. So no grit, no pearl, right? So later, though, make plans to do something wonderful and fun, right? And it might be a kind of a next level thing, and that's great and wonderful. But again, make sure that you're plainly expressing, right? Make sure that you can talk your way through it. And again, be mindful of that curly Q versus typeset. And most importantly, as always, make sure that what you're feeling is the key to your expression in all things, really. And then on Saturday, May 13th, happy ethereal birthday to my dad, right? Rock on. Venus in Cancer is going to trine Saturn early. And, well, thank you. Okay. And then the Pisces moon is going to sextile, retrograding Mercury in Taurus. The moon will conjunct Saturn and trine Venus. So here's the deal. It's a day of creation and manifestation and expression, right? And these are highlighted even though Mercury is retrograde, right? So your actions are going to become your language, which is really kind of exciting. And we all know that actions speak louder than words anyway, right? So the key on Saturday is do, right? Be very clear. Be very deliberate. Be very exacting. And that's beautiful. Do it all in the name of service, right? And self-service. And keep in mind, right, with that very strong Taurus energy, even in Mercury retrograde, we've got, a couple of Venus aspects, that home is always your bellwether, right? Your heart and your soul will thank you. And that this is a beautiful day to really be in awareness of your long-term, long-range plans and visions. Let those, why, thank you, be your navigation marks. And on Sunday, yeah, okay, fine. On Sunday, the 14th, the Pisces moon is going to sextile that Sun-Uranus pairing. We're going to have a little trine to Mars and a conjunction with Neptune. And then Mercury moves direct in the evening here in Central Time Zone. So it's Mother's Day, right? And let's talk about Mother's Day, right? Mother's Day is about nurturing and love on that heart level, right? So mothering is widely defined, and here's the deal. If you have a beautiful relationship with your mothering energy, celebrate it. Absolutely celebrate all the people who mothered and mother you, including yourself, right? Because you absolutely can mother yourself. Always coming back to love, right? It's not about hierarchy. It's not about the person who necessarily birthed you. It's about the person who nurtures you. So keep that in mind. And self-care as self-care, right? Today on Sunday, the 14th. Not avoidance, not distraction. So what you do in service to your heart can be that balm that really creates kind of a new clarity, especially as Mercury is going direct. So focus on nurturing, 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 not the linear relationship that dictates what mothering should be, but instead celebrate what mothering is. Okay? Let's get on it here. So on Monday we have, wow, look at that. So crazy. We have the 8 of Cups and the 4 of Swords. Beautiful. So the 8 of Cups is about walking away from something that is not emotionally fulfilling, right? These cups are broken. They are unable to be filled. And in that state, we must walk away from something in order to serve ourselves and give ourselves that emotional satisfaction that we require. Again, nurturing. The 4 of Swords is a card of deliberation and restoration after loss or betrayal. So in any way that you have been, again, right, we talked about feeling challenged and perhaps wanting to stay insulated, right? Go right ahead and proceed with caution, right? Proceed with caution as that fog is there, right? Sometimes grief or pain or sadness creates a situation where we're not moving cautiously or deliberately. And again, we're always asked to stop, take an assessment, right? Especially as Mercury is in retrograde, and choose how we're moving, right? Watch your step. And by afternoon, again, we talked about feeling a new surge of energy, right? As we perhaps want to move forward in those new ideas, right? Be okay. And then we talked about doing something that will upgrade the state of your living space, right? Make it more joyful, make it more self-supportive with whatever ideas or concepts that you've come upon in your retrospection or introspection, right? On Tuesday, the 9th, we have got the 3 of Cups and the 3 of Pentacles. So this is celebration and this is collaboration. So this is how we choose to learn, perhaps from our pains and our choosings, right, as we move forward. And so we talked about this as a day to deepen your own personal alignment, right, and to really choose your response so that your deliberate interactions are witnessed appropriately. Speak very plainly, right? So the 3 of Pentacles can be about learning and teaching, giving and receiving. It's about how we are in community. 3 of Cups is how we celebrate in community, right? How we jointly feel our collaborative achievements, how we dig into that celebratory energy for what we've created. So be ready for those identity shifts and don't be surprised as you witness yourself within those shared energies, and make sure that your place is aligned and that you're giving yourself credit in addition to giving the external collaborative efforts credit, right? Take your place in that lineup. Don't shy off and say, oh, no. Celebrate sharedly, right? Don't just say, oh, well, blah, 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 right? 6 of Wands, Temperance, right? So 6 of Wands is a card of victory, right? This is having achieved again, right? Temperance is how we take those achievements and wrap them up, right? Or how we take our misfortunes and wrap them into something new. Temperance is about creating something new, that synthesis of what we have been learning, what we're working toward, right? We see this beautiful transition point back here of the sun. Right there we go. As we work on new things, as we create knowledge and experience and funnel it through as wisdom. And Six of Wands is very definitely a card of experience, right? How we claim our victories individually or together. And so we talked about this as a day to really spend a day in the dream time, right? This is how we garner our synthesis of information and then really put it into effect and allow it to move us forward. And that Temperance card asks you to choose carefully how you move past that victory. Are we going to move rapidly? Are we going to move with caution? Either way, make sure that that net is wide enough. And we talked about meditating on your inner reserves and how you're plugging into source, right? How did you achieve what you've achieved? And how can you duplicate it? How can you widen it? How can you make it more, better, deeper, right? How can you take it to the next level? Pay a little bit of attention to your process and you can probably replicate it exponentially, right? A beautiful thing. Victory as victory. Victory is learning. On Thursday, the 11th, we have the Ten of Swords and the High Priestess. So the Ten of Swords asks us, right? We have this day of quiet or disquiet. We have this day where we talked about, right, typewriter or curlicue and always being reflexive to home. So what ideas are you carrying that are no longer really in service to this new story? The High Priestess asks you, turn inward, right? As these swords are a card of ideas, a card of concepts and expressions. How are you relating to an abstraction that may not be something that you want to replicate, right? Again, if it's not creating or fostering or adding to your sense of home, it might need to be left for a different day. Even though you say, yeah, this is what I'm identifying, your intuition is going to know absolutely how to sift and sort and put those things down, how to choose your own particular font for appropriate expression, right? Especially on a day where it might feel a little challenged. So dive in appropriately. Know what you're letting go. Know what you instinctively need to keep for yourself. And keep it in reserve. On Friday, the 12th, we've got the Hermit and then Page of Swords. So the Hermit is how we go inward, how we choose to have that internal process. And some people, like me, have no executive function. And so I do that by speaking or generally having a conversation, whether that's with myself or not. So that circumlocution is what allows me to process to the next level. And the Page of Swords is a new way to do that. Perhaps a facilitation, perhaps something that you've never really done before, an idea that you've never explored before that you want to walk with, right? And so we talked about this as being a day that might feel a little bit triggery. And the issue is feeling off within yourself, right? So how can you find that? How can you find alignment with that new story? How can you forgive yourself and create that new learning and new growth occur always within, right? Consider, again, that oyster, no grit, no pearl. Where's the action? The action is internal, right? And as you create that, those plans, right, to do something on Friday evening, make sure that you're feeling directed, right? Spirit-led, heart-driven, and really, again, be plain in your expression. You don't need big or fancy in order to be real. So keep that in mind. The journey is always within before you find without, right? On Saturday, we have got the Hierophant and the Sun. So the Hierophant is a card of tradition, right? It's about how we've been given knowledge, and the key here is self-examination, right? That's the key. Your key is that no matter what you've been given, you are the key, right? Your expression of that awareness, your expression of those traditions, your expression of that history, that lineage is always a thing that you're going to weigh against your experience, right? So your creations, your manifestations, and your expressions are highlighted. Again, your actions become your language, and make sure that no matter what you're doing, that it's clear, that it's relevant, that it's all in the name of service to that higher connection with home. Always leading with your heart, always leading soul out. That is your key, right? No matter what, the self-examined life, the key is you. You are self-reflexive. You are self-determined. You are self-examining. And in so much as that is your catalyst for movement, create a way, right? Create something new. That's the goal. On Sunday, we've got death, we've got the King of Wands. So this is about transformation. This is renewal. This is getting rid of the old and moving in as the new. And the King of Wands, right, this is about really spirit-driven movement. This is about passion-led activities. And we talked about this as being a day of nurturing. And so how are you celebrating your own nurturing? This is self-care as self-care, not as distraction. And really being in service to your own heart. Creating that new clarity and really witnessing the action of mothering as what's being celebrated, not just necessarily a biological lineage. And again, if you've had a great mom, great, wonderful, celebrate her. If you have a different figure in your life that's provided you with nurturing or any of that mothering energy, celebrate that too. And don't forget to add yourself into the mix, right? You are your own master when it comes to your heart and your soul's language. Give yourself some credit, give yourself some props, and celebrate yourself as well, no matter what that looks like, no matter what that feels like. We talk about over and over, right? And this has many, many determining factors, right? You are your own best work. And the more you can come back to yourself again and again and again, fearlessly witnessing that ever expanding spiral that is your fractal self, just come back to it. Again, again, again. See what it is. Again, again, right? We just come back to the same center, to that self-reflexive home point, and keep moving forth from there. Okay, let's see. I like this specifically because we've got Venus and Uranus at this 15th moon mansion, right? And we have a lot of Venus and Uranus activity this week. So let's see what we've got here. Dun, 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 dun. Well, if I can find it, we'll be in business. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. Harmonious Libra is the sign of relationships, and Venus united with the sudden and often shocking planet Uranus denotes the occurrence of unexpected love affairs or relationships. This is without a doubt a love card, whether you expected to draw one or not. If you draw this card, you or someone else of relevance to the matter in question is experiencing a sudden, overwhelming feeling of love. This card can express itself as a surprising but ultimately long-lasting relationship, or a brief liaison, or a regretted love affair. It denotes a situation in which you are shaken out of an emotional groove, absolutely, as unexpected excitement and even passion is aroused by meeting someone new. right? So we always have that capacity to infuse something new into your emotional state, no matter what that is, right? And this week is, like I said, there's a lot of Uranus and Venus involvement. So be aware, be open to something tripping your passion, right? This King of Wands creates a situation where you're invited to explore what inspires you, what motivates you, what gets your juices flowing, whatever that means, right? So just pay attention, and as you move through the week, be open to whatever siren song, right, that might bring for you, right? This is a bouquet, it's a gift. Pay attention. And so we also have Earth, right? And again, we have all of this energy in Taurus that's being highlighted this week. Uranus in Taurus, and then Venus, of course, you know, is a ruler of Taurus. And so there's a reflex there as well. Even though perhaps we don't have a lot of Earth dominating, there's a lot of Taurus energy, right? We're in Taurus season. Mercury's in retrograde in Taurus. Uranus is there. The nodes are there as well, or the North Node there. So let's see what Earth has to say. The Earth represents the gift of life. The symbol on this card refers to the body of the planet Earth, the human body, and nature herself. We're reminded by this symbol that all creatures born of the earth and human beings are the stewards of all life on this planet. It refers to what we make of it: our health, our wealth, our security, our grounding, our solidity, our stability. It reminds us that the world of form is a gift from spirit and needs to be treated with respect, right? How are you embodying your new story? This is what you're being asked over and over and over and over again, right? It's one thing to have the vision, right? The vision, the sword, the idea, but it's another thing entirely to ground it, to put it into application. When the Earth symbol appears, it represents a need to focus on reverence and appreciation for the natural gifts that are coming to you now and always. The concrete world you inhabit is there by the grace of spirit, and you are part of it. Much can be accomplished now when you focus on compassionate, reverent service to the world. If you act with integrity, gratitude, and humility, you'll find yourself more prosperous than you can imagine. Success is assured when Earth appears as an invitation. Do you feel ungrounded or easily thrown off your path as of late? We talk about this like 3 times this week, right? It is time to focus on what nurtures you and open yourself to the healing of Mother Earth and see the abundant world around you. Perhaps you've lost the ability to trust that your needs will be met and have fallen prey to poverty consciousness, right? Where are we at? How are you sourcing, right? How are you sourcing? We literally asked that very question. How are you sourcing this week? Perhaps you've not been eating well, or you've been overworked and stressed, or you've forgotten to breathe in the beauty of your surroundings. When the spirit of Earth comes as your medicine, you're being reminded that when you practice self-care, take a walk in nature, and focus on the consciousness of abundance, miracles can and do happen, right? We talked about this, self-care as self-care, not as the avoidance of reality, right? If you're going to be in self-care, give yourself to the sensual experience and really take care of that vessel that you have. It's a gift, right? Over and over. So, right, be in it this week. We have the week after this, right? It's going to call your groundedness into question. So this week, I highly recommend that you really create roots. for yourself within your new story, no matter what that means, no matter what it feels like, no matter what it looks like, tastes like, smells like, sounds like. Find an anchor point and get a tether to this particular dimension and plane, because you will celebrate that soon, right? So sink in, find a way, right, to gather yourself in your physical space, and be blessed. Talk to you next week.